welcome to Inspiring Voices, the podcast of the Cornwall Federation of WIs. I'm here today with two members of Hayle WI, Margie Stockton and Cheryl Hudson, who have been working with Caroline Schanche and Melanie Young, who are an artist and a dancer, working with Wild Works Theatre on a project called This Is Me, which is sort of a multimedia arts engagement project. Is that right, Mel?
It is, yeah, absolutely. It's so that the overriding project with Wild Works is called Hello Stranger, and then we were commissioned to do a piece of work. And I had previously worked with Hayle WI through Cheryl as my contact because I'd met her at Godolphin at a different project, and so Caroline and I really thought we'd like to work with a WI group, and so that seemed a lovely way to segue in and go, Cheryl, thank you. And that was really, we went and I met with the committee, and then a sort of core group of 6 women from that WI really took it on board and said, yes, welcome, come in, and we'll have a go at whatever you throw at us. And so that's what we did. We didn't actually throw anything, but, lots of different arts activities, movement, some spoken choir. We made a film, and it slowly all came together into the final piece, which is now at Trerice.
So the final piece it's sort of a piece of furniture, isn't it, that holds all of these bits that you've worked on together?
Yeah, it holds them all in a sort of one tall piece that we've called the reliquary, which is a repository for your sacred items. And it's about 7 foot tall. And it's got a lovely illuminated screen on it, which is almost like a stained glass window, which is very beautiful, painted by the women. It's got a TV screen with a little film on a loop, film of them moving, and a sound score, which is like a spoken choir that they did. There's little tiny ceramic pots with promises in. There's little icons. It's just this kind of joyous thing to explore, and it's slightly odd looking. It's apart from all the beautiful, colourful things that everybody's done, it's black, and it looks quite sombre and important and holds its space.
Well, it is important, isn't it?
It is important, and it looks beautiful. It looks, and after everyone had gone home, the people from the workshop and the women from the WI yesterday, there were a few visitors coming in and other volunteers from Trerice, and you could see people being just very intrigued. They sort of come towards it a little bit slowly. It's like it's not going to bite you; it's just going to sit there and let you explore. And the interpretation board hadn't arrived yesterday. That will be in place now. So that will give some little explanations and some little snippets of stories from the women that they were really generous enough to share with us.
So it's now been installed at Trerice, and it's going to sort of do a tour of National Trust properties around Cornwall.
Yeah, it's a proper tour. It's Trerice, then Trelisic, then Cateel, then Pentyre, then Godolphin, and it doesn't finish its tour, I don't think, till the beginning of December. So go Hayle WI.
Fantastic. So the name of the project is This Is Me. Cheryl, do you want to sort of talk about the name of the project, what does that mean to you and to the members of Hayle WI?
Well, I think, speaking for myself, I don't know about everybody else, but I think it was a wonderful opportunity, really, to look at how we are as women living in Cornwall now and at our age, and to actually reflect on what that means for us. And we were guided by Melanie and Caroline in a really safe way, because some of it was quite sensitive, some of it was, we were looking at memories, some of it was quite emotional. So to be guided in that way was really very, very good, really. Made us safe, didn't it? Yeah. And it also gave us the opportunity to try lots of different things. Some of the members were reinvigorated to remember hobbies they used to do, that they no longer do, but maybe will in the future. And we all had an opportunity to do gold gilding, which nobody'd done, and so that was very exciting. So yeah, it's been an interesting project, very interesting to be part of it, stimulating.
Caroline, how long have you been working on this with the Hayle WI women?
Ooh, I can't remember when we started. Can you remember, Margaret? I think we started, Caroline and Melanie, I think you started when I was otherwise indisposed. I think it must have been February, was it? Because I was in hospital. So was it February, March?
Yes, maybe very early March.
Yes.
So in fact, we did 8 sessions, but because they were spread out, the last session was the very end of July. That's quite an interesting experience in itself, I think, because it feels like things brew a bit between sessions, and then always the hilarious trying to go during one session, go, right, when can we meet again? And people going, oh, I'm busy here, can we, and then sorting it out. And so sometimes there would be a little sort of cluster of sessions because brilliantly everyone was free at the same time. And then sometimes there would be gaps. But actually, I think that Mel and I have learned from other projects that works quite nicely, because then it's quite nice to have time to go away and reflect about things. And maybe, as Cheryl was saying, people will go away and sort of do homework almost and bring things back to the session. But also, I think that length of time, you sort of go, did we really only have 8 sessions? Because it feels like we've done so much more. To me, it does. So I think it was sort of very early March through to very end of June.
I came to one of your sessions when you were working on some lovely paintings of flowers and those little gilded pots you just started on. And I know the project is sort of about identity, isn't it? And not necessarily about how talented you all are, but I was amazed at how talented you really were. Some fabulous work.
I think that absolutely is true. I think it didn't matter if people didn't have any sort of skill level at all. But when you look at the things that are in that reliquary, and particularly the paintings that went together to make the stained glass window or the illuminated window, it is beautiful. And as you come into the space, that's the first thing you see, and you can see people going, oh wow, that's gorgeous. And then we had a conversation that actually we need to make it into maybe tote bags or T-shirts or something, because it's just so stunning. But that was people doing tiny little paintings and then maybe getting a little bit braver and taking stuff home and working on it and experimenting with a little bit of brighter colour maybe than they would normally work with. And it looks joyous, really joyous.
And I'd also like to add in the movement in the film is beautiful, really lovely movement quality, because when we first kind of went, okay, anyone up for some dancing? Brilliant, everyone said yes, but often people are nervous or unsure about it. And again, you'll see in the film, anyone who comes to visit the reliquary, very beautiful movement quality. And I think one of the things that Mel and I have really enjoyed is how much the women have sort of trusted us and plunged in and really developed lots of different skills and maybe found things that they didn't think they could do and they absolutely can, which is wonderful.
I would agree with that. Sorry. I would agree with that. I was saying today, because I've dabbled in painting and pottery, but dance, I was the typical 2 left feet, just don't even think about it. And so that took me right out of my comfort zone. But it was just so wonderful to do it and to see it. And obviously the filming was very beautiful. But yeah, it was just that being able to do it. And yes, I can do this. I can learn those movements. I can end up facing the right way. And just simple things. It was just so lovely to do that. And the choral speaking, because I'd not really done that before. And I think coupled to, because that was where we had to write down 5 things about a place that was special to us. And then in a very sort of weird way, we had to say, instead of saying, say Dartmoor has beautiful rocks and, tours, all this, we had to say I am. And so all of a sudden those places became part of us. And to actually say that was such a powerful thing to do. And, that whole choral speaking was just wonderful, really. Yes. So really enjoyed that.
It's so lovely, though, that you've just said that you were sort of nervous of the movement and that you thought that you would, because the filmmaker, Gil, had no knowledge of that at all. So isn't that just wonderful that he's chosen the last bit of the film to just be you?
Yes. It is.
You're white, kind of watching, as if you're, I always do this. I am just an experienced dancer. I've been on the stage, But isn't that great when that works out? There was something about the way you were doing that he just thought, that's a really sort of, it felt quite poignant that that's the end of the film. So,
and if I can just say, we've nominated her as the angel, because when people see that film, they will see that Margaret is definitely the angel at the end.
To clarify, I'm dressed all in white, flowing, and I think there might be St. Earth Church Tower in the background. Yes, yes. That's, it's just
the movement film was filmed outside in St. Earth, which I think makes it even more beautiful that you're all standing out in nature, not standing, moving in nature. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yes, it is. Yes, really, even if I say so myself, everybody is dancing beautifully, and it's just lovely to be given that confidence, really. So obviously the filming was important, the way it was filmed, but it just shows what can be put together, really. So
yeah,
lovely.
and it's been good, hasn't it, to be pushed outside of our comfort zone? I mean, it's been very good for us to be pushed in that way, because like you, I was like horrified at the idea of being filmed while I was doing movement, but actually, at the end of the day, that has been a confidence booster. Yeah.
And I have to say about Cheryl, because she did the most beautiful piece of writing about what it was like moving from the Cotswolds to Cornwall, and it'll make you cry when you read it. It is so beautifully written, and well done, because that is lovely. And I think it's, in fact, I was saying to Mandy, who is the assessor for Wildworks, I think, is that a right way of describing her? Evaluating. She was evaluating the project. So I've just done an interview with Mandy, and one of the things we were saying was that out of all the people who were there, the 6 people that actually took part, none of us are actually Cornish. And it is just the way it happened, because one of the things, the reason why there were a few of us, one of the reasons was that a lot of people, typical WI ladies, are involved in other things. And we were saying that in future, a good thing to improve it would be to do it on different days of the week, throughout the week, so that more people could be involved. But the fact that none of us were Cornish, Cheryl wrote this moving from the Cotswolds, and I think most of us could actually identify with that moving away from somewhere different to beautiful Cornwall, but such a different county, with such different scenery and different people. So, very powerful piece of writing indeed.
And is that incorporated into the reliquary?
Yes. Of course it is. It's printed out onto some vinyl and on a beautiful mirror. So you get to kind of stand in front of it. And so part of the thing is, this is me. And you get to see a bit of your own reflection as you're reading this poem. And Cheryl and I were looking at it together, and you kind of, as you move, sometimes you get a double bit of it, and then you move and, I can read it really clearly. So it's kind of got this extra level as well of having to discover it and work a little bit hard.
Now, whose idea was it to put all of these items in is the piece of furniture, is it all sides
Yeah,
it's all sides, and I think it was quite. So Caroline and I had an idea that we would make a something with something that people created. There you go. That's as clear as that was. And then, as stuff started to be made, you kind of think, well, we need to house this, don't we? And my husband's quite good at building things, although we do call him Bodget and Scarpa. But he'll put things together and he'll make things. So as we kind of went, we think we're going to have a film. Well, how are we going to show a film? Well, it's got to be on a loop. And it's got to be, well, a TV screen is the easiest way to do that. Let's build something to house it. Then you've got another side to the cupboard. People are doing gorgeous paintings. Let's make a stained glass window. So it's been really organic like that. And I suppose luckily, Caroline and I like to work like that. So we kind of like to go, we've got quite a big creative toolkit and we like to fly by the seat of our pants.
Hang on a moment. I thought it was terribly carefully planned step by step. I think, and then also this word reliquary, we felt that, I mean, and they are absolutely brilliant, but the idea, a more common idea is perhaps a cabinet or a cabinet of curiosities, which was particularly, I think, a Victorian thing of people, explorers and travellers coming back and then, wanting to display and the things they found on their travels. And we just felt that had been kind of had been used, that idea of a cabinet of curiosities, used in a lot of other arts projects. And it's, it's a fantastic idea. But also we were kind of thinking, but they're making beautiful artwork. They're not curiosities as well. And so that's where we came up with this idea of a reliquary. And because it's sort of using repurposed pieces of furniture as well, it doesn't work like a cabinet. I think there's one drawer that you can open, but everything else is already on display. So that's why we wanted to give it a slightly different slant. And the idea that a reliquary is where you keep your precious objects. And of course, all the artworks that were created are precious. So we wanted to bring that sense of respect to what had been created as well.
Yeah, I think that word gives it more significance than a cabinet.
Yeah. And also it's a brilliant word because lots of people really struggle to say it. They're looking at it and what is it?
Well, I did wonder, did I pronounce it correctly?
Did, yes. And we have put a little explanation there of what a reliquary is, instead of just going, this is a reliquary, and people thinking, I don't know what that word is, because it's a very old-fashioned word, isn't it? And people don't often use that now. So we have said it's a repository for your sacred objects.
I think so. It's possible that things might change slightly or evolve. So, the Trerice launch was also, the National Trust wanted us to think of it as a soft launch in a way, just to sort of try it out and see if anything needed adapting. I do wonder if we need a label on it somewhere going reliquary, pronounced reliquary, because it is quite, on the other hand, it's quite amusing watching people go, We'll see.
Can I just also say that Melanie and Caroline work in a very inclusive way. So one of the really nice things, I think, is that they're going to be offering workshops to the other WIs who are near to the relevant National Trust properties, aren't you? And yes. I think that's a fabulous idea because it includes far more people as well.
Is there a way that we'll know about that so we could promote it to local WIs, or do you want to do it on a small scale?
So it should be, I'm guessing I know the Trerice one, obviously that's happened. I think it's live on the National Trust website, but it will probably be helpful for me to get that to you, would it?
Yes, I'm happy to put the word out.
Yeah, I'll get a link.
Yeah, you go to Trelisic next, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, and that's a much bigger place. So there's 20 spaces on the workshop, and there'll be hopefully as many of the group from Hayle can come as possible, because I think that'll be a much more, I don't like the word formal, but I think it'll be a more formal opening, in that I think will probably give us sort of an announcement of here it is, this is how it came to happen, these are the women who did it, blah, 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 and some, cake and more of a celebratory feel to it. It was lovely at Trice, but it felt like it was definitely a soft opening. It was, is this working? Are we all happy?
You had some members of other WIs just happened to be there yesterday at the launch.
Yeah, it was great. It was lovely. Going, I'm from this one. I'm from this one.
It was lovely. Yeah,
we're everywhere.
Yeah. So our September. Yeah. So August 5th, it will be Trelisic, and then
in August,
and then September the 7th will be the workshop at Hayle.
Now, what sort of things will you be doing at the workshops?
The same activity that we did with Hayle WI, which is asking this question: so when we went and did an evening workshop with the whole group, where does your heart belong? And then everyone gets to design a travel sticker, like that you used to put on your suitcases when you've been somewhere exotic, to show that you've been somewhere exotic, maybe, or excited. Anyway, yes. So, and then we print them out and stick them. We've got a very large suitcase, which has become now part of the reliquary, part of the installation. And so the plan is that whenever a sticker gets designed, it gets added to the suitcase. So by the end of the tour, we should have this suitcase that represents all the different places and all the different women and WIs that have come in and engaged with us during this process. So we're hoping
fantastic. I just want to turn to Cheryl and Margie. Did you have favourite elements of the project that you either enjoyed the most or you felt were the most important?
It's quite difficult to answer in a way, because actually it did all evolve. So I think we started off not quite knowing what we were doing, and then got more excited about it as it went along. So it's quite a difficult question to answer in that way. But I mean, I really enjoyed the creative writing bit that led to the choral, quite a bit. Not quite sure what we're calling that. But I mean, it's difficult to define. I think all of the bits of it actually were very stimulating.
Yeah. And I think for me, sorry about the phones going off. I think for me, the first session I was able to attend, we had to take something special that meant we had to take an object that meant something special to us, and then everybody got to talk about it. And even though I've known these ladies for many years, it was so lovely hearing these very personal stories being shared, and they were all really meaningful and gave a real insight into what people perhaps have been through in the past and so on. And it was a very cathartic experience. Yeah, very. I said earlier today, it was a really good thing to do for one's mental health. I think it was that just being able to, with these two ladies, you felt in a very safe place, and we could share lots of things together. And and we did. We just shared so much with each other. And we're going to miss it terribly.
Not as much as we're going to miss it. We've got other ideas up our sleeve. We'll be getting back in contact. But that session that you're talking about was wonderful, I think. And it was really, it was a very moving session. It had stories that were emotional or sad, but then the next minute we would be roaring with laughter from someone else. So it took us on this real emotional journey. And I think, although we sort of felt, I think particularly Cheryl, you've said a few times, oh, I'm sorry, more people didn't get involved. But I don't know if we could have had that precious session with 20 people. I just don't think you can. So I think we always say whoever comes are the right people, however many people is the right number. And then that project evolves from there. And so this became quite a particular, possibly a slightly deeper more intense project than it would have been if there was more people. And so that's wonderful. That's why the reliquary looks so bold and intriguing and mysterious, and it will draw people in because it's holding all of those stories, I think.
Mm. And I think it's so wonderful when people sort of get their objects or got their objects out on the table, and there's always a little bit of sort of I'm going to get my picture, and you look around the table and you kind of go, oh well, this is an interesting selection of things. The idea then that those objects and some of them, at initial glance are sort of quite ordinary looking, there was nothing particularly madly exotic or anything like that, but then the story that object holds is extraordinary. It was a very moving, a very special afternoon, I think.
Yeah, yes, it was.
I think visitors to this piece are going to love it, especially WI members. So we will definitely advertise in our newsletter wherever we can the dates and the locations so that people can get out to the National Trust properties and have a visit and have a look at what Hayle WI has been up to.
Yes, and a little extra. At Trerice yesterday afternoon before I left, I did have a walk around the gardens and they are looking amazing at the moment. So if anyone's sort of near, well, I suppose, by the time this gets broadcast, they will have changed probably. But yeah, the gardens, it's a good day out.
It's a good time
wherever
of year,
you go out.
Yeah. Good time of year for National Trust gardens.
Yeah, lovely.
The lavender in particular, the honeybees.
Extraordinary.
Well, this will be going out on the 1st of August, so it won't change too much by then.
Oh, okay. Brilliant.
Perfect.
Go and see the lavender at Trerice quickly. Because it's extraordinary.
And have a piece of cake and go and visit the reliquary.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the house isn't bad either.
The house is quite nice too.
The house is quite stunning as well.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Caroline, Melanie, and Cheryl and Margie. Thank you very much for joining me and talking about what sounds like a really fascinating project.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Say goodbye. We've really said goodbye to Helen. I thought she was going to